Helldivers 2 is so close to being one of my favorite multiplayer games ever made. The shooting is fantastic, and the stratagems are fantastic. I love the variants. I do wish there were more of them, even though I use the same, honestly, 5 or 6 every single time. But I love the variety. The actual combat is great. I mean, calling in airstrikes and fighting off what seems to be like overwhelming odds and trying to dodge your teammates' 380 barrage that they call right on top of you. The game consistently delivers some of the best co-op moments in gaming, and that is exactly why it's so frustrating for me to talk about, because I don't think Helldivers 2 is missing much. What I think it's missing is a handful of things that would have elevated it from a really good game to an all-time great one, and it's this Galactic War. What should have been the thing that ties it all together and elevates it. Instead, it feels like a very loosely associated backdrop. The game absolutely nails the war on the ground, but then everything else surrounding that war feels really weirdly underdeveloped. I'm not the kind of guy who's gonna trawl through patch notes and get really upset about what nerfs they made to what weapons, or what cooldown they changed, or what kind of enemy balancing they did. It's none of that at all. I'm just the average player coasting along on the vibes. And let me tell you, Helldivers 2 does absolutely get the vibes right. You see, Starship Troopers came out during my formative teenage years, maybe late teenage, can't remember. But it is burned into my brain as one of the greatest movies of all time. That's probably because it actually is one of the greatest movies of all time. So from a packaging standpoint, Helldivers 2 clearly drew inspiration from that and then brought that world to life. The over-the-top government propaganda, do your part by joining the Helldivers, everything about that is spot on. And that launch cinematic, when you go to start a mission, is perfection. I still watch it and I still get excited every single time. I mean, it perfectly calls back to that one scene from Starship Troopers when they're descending under crazy fire onto Klendathu, and the guy shouting, "Remember your training, and you will make it back alive." And if you're answering an SOS call on like a high difficulty bug mission, you'll be dropped into some wild chaos often, where the only option is to shoot and throw grenades and dive and call stratagems just to survive the opening seconds. It's beautiful. The unfortunate side is that that moment is probably the absolute peak of the game. And everything outside of it always feels just one piece away. And that's why I say that Helldivers 2 is so close to getting it right. And I think the Cyberstan campaign from early 2026 is the moment that finally shattered the illusion for me. The whole march toward and the assault on Cyberstan is the perfect encapsulation of this like Disneyland ride on rails type of storytelling that Arrowhead has created. After months of us like randomly toiling around, bouncing from planet to planet, the devs threw down this real serious gauntlet. March to Cyberstan, take the cyborg home planet. And I remember the players, and even I was actually pumped. I was like, oh my gosh, we're going to do it. You know, people who had only ever fought bugs even started fighting bots. And Arrowhead said, here's the plan. And it felt like an actual campaign. Here's the path. Take these planets along the way, and then we're taking Cyberstan. And of course, online, the chatter was going on like, wow, would they actually let us take Cyberstan? No way would they let us take the Borg home planet. Where would the story go? Didn't matter. We were all in. Player base was unified. I remember the player count shooting up like crazy. We fought so many bots. I mean, I feel like I destroyed tens of thousands of bots. We fought planets that were like, oops, all Hulks. We fought the Jet Brigade, Incinerator Corps, tons of Factory Striders, Vox engines. I did so many portable Hellbomb kamikaze runs when the odds got hopeless, took out 100 enemies at a time, beautiful cinematics, all to push toward clearing these objectives. I remember for the first time ever, they put a reserve counter on the galactic map that suggested we only had so many lives to give in this effort. And so for the first time, people slightly cared about not dying quite as much. Turns out that was a fake counter anyway. Whenever it started getting low, they just made up a minor order that was easy to achieve, and more forces just magically appeared. I mean, we poured effort into these major orders that had no hope of actually being completed. And we actually even completed some. I think we even got 90% of the way to taking Cyberstan on the very last day. And we just fell short. And then it was done. That was it. All right, didn't do it. Go home. So after weeks of hammering away at a campaign and taking territory and assaulting this planet, we fell just short of claiming Cyberstan. And that was it. No regroup at the previous planet for a new assault. No plaque or ribbon or medal to commemorate the attempt. Just all right, go back to fighting bugs now. Oh, here's an order for the Illuminate. Go get those. What you guys want? I was like, what? Was it all truly for nothing? Like, as soon as that campaign ended in the very predictable failure, it was just business as usual. The objective was rigged. You couldn't beat it. On with the game. And that's when it finally sunk in that maybe they weren't going to ever make this an actual war. And look, I played the hell out of Helldivers 2 for that few weeks run. For whatever reason, I decided to buy into the fantasy, and I was really enjoying the push. I didn't enjoy the missions. Every map was the exact same objectives over and over again, but I liked being part of it because I felt like it was going somewhere. I had an absolute blast, of course, with the shooting, and it finally felt good for us all to be unified toward this huge objective. But then it just ended. Not with a bang, but with just a weak whimper. And I didn't play for weeks after. The game truly hasn't felt impactful at all since that whole facade crumbled. So let's take a step back into space and talk about the galactic map and Galactic War. This has always bothered me. Cyberstan just amplified it. I might never get over it. But they make this interactive galactic map and try to lead you to believe that the player base has some control over the outcome. And sure, we might. They toss us major orders that we can, in theory, win or lose. But honestly, it's all meaningless. It's all for absolutely nothing. There's no stakes. The planets are just names on a map. None of them have any strategic importance. You don't gain or lose resources if a planet is taken. In fact, planets win or lose themselves all the time, it feels like, without your intervention. And regardless of what happens on the map, my gameplay on like the actual shooting is the exact same. I could completely ignore that the map exists and never be the wiser. The devs have clearly decided outcomes for whatever path the map is going to take, and we just play along. And I made the mistake of going on Reddit during one of those major campaigns. I think it was Cyberstan. And all I saw was people scream at each other for playing the wrong side of the map or not playing the map the right way. And for what? The Galactic War has no purpose. There's no value to any of these planets. So I suspect a bunch of other players, find it incredibly hard to actually care about superficial dots in a rigged outcome that have no impact on gameplay. Now, people might say it isn't all predetermined, that players actually wholly dictate the outcome. But again, why would I care whether or not it's actually rigged in the end? I shouldn't care at all. The points are just made up and the rules don't matter. The game is at its best when you just log in and shoot the enemy flavor of your choice. Bugs or bots, nobody chooses Illuminate. The Galactic War is just this lackluster facade laying on top of that, and it really should be more. I've got my thoughts on what would make it work better, but that is a conversation for a different time. And that's what bothers me about Helldivers 2 and its Galactic War. It's not that we lose planets, it's not that we fail major orders, it's that none of it matters at all. The planets don't matter, the sectors don't matter, the campaigns don't matter, outcomes don't matter. The game constantly asks me to care about territory while giving me no reason to care about territory. And the sad part is the actual game underneath all this is wonderful. The shooting, it's fantastic. The stratagems, fantastic. The chaotic feeling of being put in these insane situations and somehow surviving as a squad, it's fantastic. And that's why it frustrates me so much. Every time I play, I can see how close this game is to being something special. And that's why I say Helldivers 2 is so close to getting it right. Well, that's all for me today. I'm still compelled to unlock all the war bonds, so I'll still be buried in Helldivers 2 for years to come. It's just sometimes I won't be completely happy about the major orders. If you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so. Either way, we'll see you next time.